It sounds like the defense balled out in Saturday's scrimmage, so now it's time to buy some stock in a few of these players.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans. It's your team in green and white 5 days a week as we lead up to kickoff. And, of course, beyond kickoff. You already know this. We do this every single day right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below. What defensive player for your Michigan State Spartans are you going to buy a lot of stock in? Who's going to absolutely blow up this fall, guys? Because segment 2, that's where we're going to go. We're going to, call our shot, have some names out there that you may or may not know that I think can really have a really solid fall this upcoming season. We're going to get into basketball recruiting at the very end here. Some news and notes just dropped over the weekend. But first things first, let's take a look behind those closed doors of Saturday's scrimmage. Now, hey, you know, the headliner right now, no injuries, nothing long-term, relatively healthy scrimmage. And obviously that's, what comes first and foremost in all of these updates here. So there's a pretty big update. And it was actually guys that did not play. It was a scheduled rest day. It wasn't, anything salacious or anything, or any guys that were hurt and they just don't want their injuries to be worse. It was a scheduled rest day for a lot of guys, specifically on the offensive side of the ball here. Aiden Childs, he did play. He wore his red jersey, the no-contact jersey, of course, as all quarterbacks do. And yeah, he was kind of limited with who he had to throw the ball to. During this scrimmage, there's actually a nice little 20-ish second cut up on Twitter that the football staff brought out. One of those split seconds was a guy by the name of Sean Foster reeling in a pass. And if that's your first time hearing that name, it's my first time saying that name. I apologize to the Foster family, but transfer from Hope College by way of Grand Ledge, Michigan. Go Comets, by the way. But yeah, not necessarily thrown to Nick Marsh or Omari Kelly or Jack Velling during this scrimmage here. So should it be a surprise that the defense that had a good amount of their starters playing on Saturday, should it be a surprise that they won this one, that they won the scoring period of this scrimmage? No, it's not a surprise, but hey, there's also some tidbits that we can take out from this scrimmage that I just want to elaborate on, guys, because why not? It goes beyond just the scrimmage. It also goes into what we've been hearing all fall camp from people that were, either boots on the ground Saturday, boots on the ground during these fall practices, or talking with, people that know a thing, that know some things. So, guys, just, again, going beyond the scrimmage, overall, the linebackers are going to give Joe Rossi a problem this upcoming fall, but not a bad problem. Like, this is one of the fun problems because it looks like it is going to be a hotly contested battle for a lot of these linebacker positions. That, you can assume that Jordan Hall, middle linebacker, okay? Wayne Matthews, a returner, that's going to be your weak side linebacker. But who plays a strong side linebacker? That's a rhetorical and a non-rhetorical question because from what we've been hearing, all these guys are going to make this a very tough decision for your defensive coordinator, Joe Rossi. Like Brady Pretzloff playing really solid. Ice Moa, the linebacker transfer from BYU. Marcellius Polium, Samaj Bridgman, two guys that didn't really play a ton last year. But, hey, you know what? You got them from other Power 4 schools. You didn't get them last year to be instant impact guys in 2024. You got them to be instant impact in 2025. You're starting to see them blossom. And then, hey, there's still one guy that's still hanging around here, guys. The guy that I think will start the season as that quote-unquote starter is Darius Snow. Look, just like we talked about, let's talk about Marcellius Polium and Samaj Bridgman a little more because I think those were important gets last year. And even when they got, Marcellius Polium from Miami, when they got Samaj Bridgman from Michigan, we said, hey, this is nice pickups, and it's not just for what they could do on the field last year. This is to supply a linebacker room that was really neglected amongst the previous regime here. I think Mel Tucker only took on, 2 linebacker recruits in his time here. It's Quavarius Carter, and then Jordan Hall is the other guy that and he is obviously still around, but they needed to supplement this linebacker room, not just immediately last year, which they did, obviously, with Jordan Turner. They got him. That was a really solid pickup. But they also looked down the pike and said, we're going to need some rangy, fast, twitchy guys, the kind of linebackers that Joe Rossi likes, and we're going to need these not just for last season, but for this upcoming season. So, hey, from what we've been hearing, all these guys have been playing really well. We talked earlier last week that, yes, the linebacker room, they were the strength of the defense last year. I think they could be even better this upcoming season, and certainly what happened at the scrimmage and also so far this whole fall camp mirrors what we've been saying there. The defensive line depth chart also starting to take a little bit of shape, guys, because we heard great things about Grady Kelly. He appeared to have one of the strongest games on the defensive side of the ball, too, in Saturday's scrimmage here. So just to talk a little bit about Grady Kelly, if you weren't too involved with his transfer portal decision to come to Michigan State out of Florida State, here is the skinny on him. Now, this is his third stop in college. He did start at Colorado State, and at Colorado State, did pretty well. He started all 12 games in 2023. Pro Football Focus really liked him a lot. If you like to take their word as gospel, they graded him as a 72.2, which was the 8th best defensive lineman in the Mountain West that season. He generated 18 pressures, 24 stops, which was the 3rd most amongst Mountain West defensive linemen. So he goes to Florida State, transfers. He wants to play some really solid Power 4 football, and look, let's just call it what it was. He was part of the Florida State dumpster fire that was last season. Now, he did play behind Joshua Farmer, who was a 4th-round pick in last year's NFL draft, and then Darrell Jackson, an all-ACC honorable mention guy, but he was the 2nd highest graded guy amongst run defenders that got 100-plus snaps last season for the Seminoles. So, yes, he was a backup, but even when he played, he was solid enough, but still, it was just kind of a catastrophe for the Seminoles last year. So, look, are you a glass half full person or a glass half empty person? Do you think we could see Colorado State Grady Kelly, or will it be Florida State Grady Kelly? Either way, it looks like that he's going to be cemented in the starting role, who I believe would be next to Alex Van Sumeren. You already know his story, former 4-star, top defensive line prospect out of Michigan a few years back, injury-plagued start to his college career. But hey, solid enough in his first full year of college action last year. That appears to be the starting duo as things stand right now. Obviously, we still have a little less than 3 weeks left of fall camp. Things can change, but if the season kicked off on Monday, August 10th, that's who I believe would be your interior defensive lineman. Another star from the scrimmage on Saturday we wanted to highlight, and this is getting interesting here, is running back Jace Clarizio. Caught some good eyes here on Saturday. So we could very well see his stock rising, and that has not always been the case, and that's not a slight to him by any means. Now, he's a true freshman, 4-star running back right out of the backyard in East Lansing High School. In the spring, yeah, I mean, look, Keith Banafa, the running backs coach, said as much that, yeah, it's kind of been a work in progress to get this kid acclimated with the college game, and that happens all the time with true freshmen, especially early enrollees. I mean, the guy's supposed to be at prom, not learning an intricate college offense, but then fall camp comes around, and we've been only hearing good things about Jace Clarizio, and, this is Saturday's scrimmage obviously included, that him and Brandon Tulis were the guys that had the best moments out there. Now, what we know about this running back battle is that, yes, it is going to be a 4-headed race now. I originally thought, and it was originally told, that, yeah, it's looking like a 3-headed race. Sure, Jace will have, some spare carries to, tack onto his resume early on in the season against Western, maybe Youngstown too. But now it's starting to look like, yeah, he's going to have his name in the mix here, even as a true freshman. So what we do know is that, yeah, he is performing well. He's getting rave reviews. He is in this mix. Now, here's what we don't know, and here's kind of just trying to read between the lines, and this is really going to tell you how optimistic of a person you are, because, look, I like hearing that he is performing well. He is one of the better performers so far. What we don't know is that if this is like bona fide, hey, he could be a starting running back, or is it just in the sense of, oh, he's doing really well, in the sense of, oh, he's working his way up to RB3 or RB2. We also don't know if he's like doing really well for a freshman. Hey, just considering that, he was a little behind in the spring, he's doing really well compared to where he was, or just any guy that enters in their first year, or if he's doing really well in comparison to the rest of the room, because could it be that the rest of the room is just underwhelming and a freshman is already looking this good in a room full of 2 guys back for their sophomore seasons, and then an older guy out of Sacramento State and Eli Tolliver that just be ready for Power 4 football? I don't know, guys. I would really love to say that I do know what they mean by, hey, he's looking really good. Is he looking really good because, oh my God, yeah, this 4-star kid is really, really ready for college football? Or is he looking good because this running back room is just a question mark as a whole? Sorry to just be so vague and blurred about that, but Yeah, it's kind of is what it is. We got to wait and see until Saturday in a few weeks to really know what this means. Outside of that, guys, look, Brandon Tulis played well. Braylon Collier, he was a key fixture out there. Jaden Savory, he caught a touchdown pass that was thrown on a dot downfield by Alessio Milivojevic, your backup quarterback. So that's what we got, guys, for the Saturday scrimmage. Now, with all that said, let's buy some stock. Let's talk about defensive players that are going to blow up this fall. But first, I need to talk everyone's ears off about Game Time. That's right, the greatest ticketing app out there. And we've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Now, live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. And that is just where Game Time comes in, guys. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. And obviously, it's not just about concerts, guys. You could do this for sporting events. Michigan State's game kicking off in less than 3 weeks. I actually hopped on Game Time just out of curiosity right before the Tigers played against the Angels, right before first pitch. Got like $15 tickets for this great weekend matchup. Beautiful day in Detroit. Game Time is just so simple, guys. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. It's last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, guys, let's buy some stock. You know, who are just under the radar right now, but by the time November rolls around, they're going to be a household name in Spartan Nation. Now, this is I will admit, this is a very open door of a category here, of a show topic, because my God, like, this defense is replacing up to 7 new starters from last year. So that's one part of it, why this is such like a broad, vague topic, albeit I think a fun topic, but yes, it is a little broad. The other reason that this can get so broad is that we all have different levels of fandom, right? I mean, there are some people, a lot of you guys, especially if you're watching every day in the summer, you probably know who's on the 2 deep or the 3 deep of this depth chart. Like when we say Anthony Pinnis, for example, that's going to be a name that you know. There's also some fans that are now just tuning in, just getting ready for the season. They haven't even thought of Michigan State football since that team walked off the field against Rutgers last year. So when we say names like Grady Kelly, for example, or Joshua Eaton, guys that are going to be starting, guys that have a lot of fanfare around them, they're still going to wonder, like, what the hell is this guy talking about over here? So, yeah, there is a little bit of nuance to this conversation of, okay, well, who does have stock to buy? I will say a few dozen of you guys did respond on Twitter when I, solicited your candidates for, hey, whose stock should we buy? A good amount of you guys said Samaj Bridgman, which I like. Hey, former 4-star kid out of Pennsylvania. He was on Michigan's team. He didn't play a single snap. And look, as much as it pains you to hear and as much as it pains me to admit it, a guy playing 0 snaps 2 years ago for Michigan, that's not crazy. They had a pretty good defense. I can understand how a true freshman gets 0 snaps. So that's not like cope. That's just kind of an explanation as to how that happened and how he found his way in the transfer portal after 1 season. He did not play last year at all because he had a lot of injuries. So a lot of you guys said that Samaj Bridgman, even though he hasn't even played a single snap on the field in college, and I've heard that he's done really well in practice. Like, would it shock me if he does get a good amount of reps in the fall coming up? No, it wouldn't, but I've also heard that even with him playing well in practice, this goes to what we talked about in the first segment, he's probably going to be buried behind some of these guys right now. Again, like there's almost 3 weeks. He is playing really well. Of course, there's going to be attrition during the season. That's not to say he'll never find his way on the field guaranteed, but yeah, I was a little bit surprised when I heard that. Yeah, sure, playing well. That wasn't the surprise. The surprise was everyone in front of him, Marcellus Polium, Brady Pretzloff, Ice Moa, could be ahead of him in the pecking order here. But I did want to talk about one linebacker. And this is one that a lot of people are going to know. This is going to be his 3rd year here at Michigan State. He has had a serious role here the last few years. But MSU, your mom, that's right, that's the go-by out there on Twitter, wrote in Jordan Hall. Now, let's let him explain, because I like the way that he wrote this. He said, I know he's not under the radar to MSU fans, but my hot take is that Hall will be a household name in the Big Ten and be a 1st or 2nd all Big Ten linebacker. I don't hate that, actually. It's going to be hard. Like, it's hard to get on those 1st, 2nd team all Big Ten lists. And we're talking about a guy that just had 1 start last year. Again, we all know Jordan Hall. He played immediately as a true freshman, some starts as a freshman, one start last year, 4-star out of IMG Academy. We all know Jordan Hall, but this is a guy that is continually getting praise, whether it be what we heard from the scrimmage on Saturday. Every single day, it seems like after fall camp, whenever you're picking and prodding for information, it seems like Jordan Hall, the starting middle linebacker, is getting a lot of praise, is ready for this defense. And we talked last week about linebackers that, when Jordan Hall was here last year, he saw his starting role get evaporated the second Jordan Turner showed up to campus. Joe Rossi sat him down and said, yeah, we think you got a good future here, but you need to work on a lot in your game for it to work on this defense. And by all accounts, it seems like after a year under Jordan Turner, a year under Joe Rossi's tutelage, he is ready to blossom. So I think he is going to be a viable upgrade over what Michigan State had last year at the middle linebacker position. No disrespect to, some guys that may be your favorite players, but I think he's going to offer a little bit more athleticism here too, guys. So I do like Jordan Hall. Even though we all know his name, even though he's not a penny stock, you could probably get him for like $10. But hey, who's not to say he'll not blow up and become Apple stock and become a first or second team All Big Ten player. Now, other players I wanted to highlight here, guys. I don't hate Jeremiah Hughes. And he might not even be a guy that starts immediately this season because right now at that nickel position, it looks like senior Ade Wiley, that's going to be his position going into it. Also, I've been hearing that it is a razor-thin competition. It's like a 55% chance Ade Wiley, 45% for Jeremiah Hughes. All right, now Jeremiah Hughes, this is a kid, transfer portal, came in last year from LSU, played a ton as a freshman for the Tigers. And last year for Michigan State, 80 snaps on the defensive side of the ball. He played a lot in special teams too. But just for defense, 80 snaps. He played 58 of those snaps at the wide corner position, so not a ton of nickel experience. But when I'm seeing Jeremiah Hughes, again, just 80 snaps, it's not the largest sample size, but especially tied in with his special teams acumen, I'm seeing a guy that's pretty physical, more physical than he is fast. I think he's going to be more natural in that nickel position. So, yeah, for a guy that was a former SEC transfer, I like him blossoming as a nickel. I do think that it is going to be a serious competition that could unfold during the season. So I do like the stock of Jeremiah Hughes right now, a guy that, yes, on the two deep, I don't think it could be that all season, though. Now, another guy that you might know because he did play a considerable amount as a freshman a few years ago, Chance Rucker, cornerback Chance Rucker, that is. Now, looking to be that he is in the driver's seat for that second corner position right now. The first guy would be Joshua Eaton, the transfer from Texas State. He wasn't a 4-star in the transfer portal for no reason. Joshua Eaton is who we're talking about. So it looks pretty solidified that he's going to be CB1. So who's CB2? Because this staff only got 58 corner transfers in the spring portal, it seemed like. So who on earth is going to be that second guy? And it could be Chance Rucker. 35 snaps last season. And that is not because he was so bad. No, that's because our man was dealing with a lot of injuries last season. So his season was cut very short, 35 snaps into the season. And that pales in comparison to what he did the year prior. 576 snaps in his true freshman season. So, yeah, he's got some experience. And right now, as it's been told, like he is the leader in the clubhouse for that second corner position. That would mean he's beating out guys like Nijay Burt, okay? As a senior transfer from Eastern Illinois, or a fifth-year corner in Malcolm Bell from UConn. Now, I understand, guy from East Illinois, guy from UConn. Not necessarily guys from Georgia and Texas, but still, bear with me here. Those were two guys that were graded the highest defenders on their side of the ball, or the second highest, depending on what guy you look at here. But these were guys that really produced at a lower level. Okay, so experienced, obviously, too, a senior, a fifth-year player. The fact that Chance Rucker is beating out both these guys right now, I don't think it's a thing of like, oh, I guess we're just going to try out Chance Rucker because he's the best of a bad unit. I think that is a legitimate positional battle victory for one Chance Rucker. I think that is stock you could certainly buy. Again, like his freshman season, yes, he played a lot. It wasn't like an all Big Ten first team type season. But hey, after a year of learning Joe Rossi's defense from the sidelines, and clearly so far in camp right now, it looks to be that he is beating out older, experienced guys that have produced at a college level, again, albeit like a lower level, but a college level, showing some competency of football knowledge. I think it's really promising. I think that's something that you could absolutely buy and take to the bank here. Two other guys that I do want to highlight here. Two guys that, probably won't even be starting to start the season. They might never start the entire season, but if we're going to go for it, penny stock, see them contribute in a meaningful way this upcoming season, and also maybe even eventually take the reins of a solidified starting role in 2026. I got two guys here, Tracy Revels, Justin Denson. So I want to start with Tracy Revels here because this was a guy transferred in late in the spring portal cycle from Bowling Green. Now, he played in every game last year as a freshman at Bowling Green. So that right there is something. Like, experience, I feel like, goes a long way in the college game. I don't care what level it's at, as long as you're getting this many starting roles, and that he did. He started the last 6 games for Bowling Green. I don't think it's not nothing. He did split a ton. Like, he was all over the field at Bowling Green. He split at box safety. He played some slot corner, some nickel, played a little bit of wide corner too. And this is just a chess piece that Joe Rossi can move all around the defense. It was pretty clear in the spring portal. And if you missed, any of those episodes, I'll give you the cliff notes right now. It really seemed like late in the portal cycle, they were going for defensive backs that are versatile, that can play corner, that can play safety, that can play nickel. So I do like what you have with Tracy Revels there, not just for, hey, he's experienced, he's played a lot at the college level, at the MAC level, but still at some college level, he could play all over the field. So, hey, could he slide up to safety? Could he be one of these nickel guys? He very well could. And same with Justin Denson too, guys. Former Gatorade Player of the Year, Justin Denson. Now, he played in 7 games last season, and just like the guy we talked about, Tracy Revels, Justin Denson, in those 7 games, they had him all over the field. They had him at free safety. They had him at box safety, a little bit of nickel. They had him selling popcorn in the concession stands for a few times. He was all over the place in Spartan Stadium in his limited time here. So, hey, again, do I expect him to start this year? No, I don't. Are we hearing some pretty positive things about Justin Denson so far out of fall camp? Yes, we certainly are. So I think that he can contribute. As Lord knows, you do need backups to actually contribute in football. It's a physical, violent game out there. So, hey, keep your eye on Justin Denson. And that's a guy that, hey, you know what? You beautiful people on Twitter, you guys came up with dozens of names. That's one that I kept seeing over and over again, too. So there's the stock to know, guys. Again, transfers that you might not know if you're just tuning in to Michigan State shows for the first time in a while, which I understand. That's probably a pretty healthy way to go about college sports fandom, especially in this day and age when it is just transfer portal palooza. You can't even see straight because there's so many names in roster movement. But yeah, keep your eye. Joshua Eaton is definitely a guy. We talked about Grady Kelly already. Tracy Revels. Earlier in fall camp, Anthony Pinnis, a guy that played 2 years at junior college who just transferred in here. That's another corner that maybe just keep your eye on. Why not? Hey, this corner room, yes, it's looking pretty solidified that it is Joshua Eaton and Chance Rucker at the moment. But you rotate corners all the time in football. That is going to be a revolving door throughout the early stages of fall here. So thanks a lot for buying some stock, guys. We're going to do an offensive version of this later on in the week or maybe to start next week's show. But, guys, that's going to be a close for football talk here right now. Let's get into the world of college basketball recruiting. That's right here, guys, because a few little nuggets of information dropped either right before the weekend or over the weekend here with guys that Michigan State has a close eye on. And we're going to start with the biggest guy. You know what? No, there actually is one bigger guy that we're going to talk about amongst the 4 names that I have jotted down right now. But Quinn Costello, he narrowed his college decision down to 6 teams right now. So Quinn Costello, 6'10" wing out of the Boston, Massachusetts area, number 5 ranked power forward on Rivals. He's a top 30 overall kid. This kid's recruitment has absolutely skyrocketed in the last few weeks and months. And fortunate for Michigan State, he's going to be on campus for Grind Week. That great storied week where alumni, future players, current players, they grind it out. They work out. They play some grueling 5-on-5 basketball. It is a great bonding and sales week for the Michigan State basketball program. Carlos Medlock, your point guard, he's already going to be committed. He's going to be there. Josiah Jervis is another 6'4" shooting guard out of New York. He's going to be there. But anyway, let's get back to Quinn Costello. He listed his top 6 of Michigan State, obviously, but also Michigan, Minnesota, Purdue, and Texas. So certainly a lot of heavy hitters there. I think it's a little interesting that there's no real local Northeast schools, whether it is like a Big East school, for example. So, yeah, I mean, we're going up against other Big Ten opponents. There's one ACC team in there, and then, well, Texas out of the SEC. The other name I have jotted down here that is even bigger than Quinn Costello, both in size and in ranking, is Ethan Taylor. Now, this is a report from Deshaun London of 24/7 Sports. The 7-foot, 240-pound center. He's a top 25 kid. He's either the number 1 ranked center or the number 2 ranked center, depending on what recruiting site you look at. Yeah, he is looking at Michigan State. And that is very exciting because the offer came not too long ago, but it is going to be quite the competition to get his services as he scheduled some official visits. So he's got 6 official visits jotted down right now. He's going to start with Oregon in September, then go to Oklahoma right after that, Indiana right after that, Kansas right after that, then Michigan State gets the second to last visit, and then getting the last visit is Kentucky. So, yeah, obviously a lot of blue bloods, a lot of programs with a lot of money. Now, this kid, he is originally from Kansas, but he just transferred to, how about that? The Link Academy. Who plays for the Link Academy this upcoming season? Oh, that's right. It's your point guard commit, Carlos Medlock, Michigan State fans. So we're going to see how good of a salesman Carlos Medlock is. He's already a great basketball player. He's already a great 3-level scorer. I'm very excited to get Carlos Medlock on campus. But let's see if he can bring his center in because, hey, one high school season, I'm going to see if that can go a far way. But, yeah, that's going to be a massive, massive recruitment for one Ethan Taylor. So just a few other news and notes, guys. Joe Tipton, he gave us the nuggets on this one here. Julius Avent, 6'7" wing out of New Jersey. He's down to 5 schools. He's got 5 official visits, and the first one will be your Michigan State Spartans. August 30th, he's going to be on campus for the opening weekend for football. Then he goes to Penn State the weekend after. He goes to Xavier after that. Providence after that, and then Seton Hall after that. Top 100 kid, again, 6'7" wing out of New Jersey. And the last guy we will hit on right here is small forward Jalen Collingwood. He announced his top 7 schools. He announced some visits as well. So the top 7 schools, obviously Michigan State. I'll cut to the chase right there. But outside of that, Mississippi State, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Vanderbilt. Now, he's got official visits set with all 4 of those schools and Michigan State, and he is still considering Butler and Maryland. Now, this kid has just slipped inside the top 150, which in the world of basketball recruiting, isn't a sky-high ranking, but you heard the schools. Obviously, some schools with cachet here. It's not like it's Grand Valley and Saginaw Valley just offering these kids. No, this is a kid that is seeing his recruitment slowly starting to build up. And he is just inside the top 50 for that small forward position. So 6'5", 190-pound kid. He's going to be visiting on October 3rd that weekend. Michigan State football, they're on the road. So he's not going to get the full campus experience on a game day, which is kind of a bummer. But, and that's what we're looking at right now. So those are the news and notes, guys. What 2026 is going to look like. There's going to be a lot of scholarships to be handed out here. Your point guard, Divine Ukachukwu, Jeremy Fears, and then Carlos Medlock. Shooting guard, junior year Kerr Tang. And then your small forward, could it be Cohen Carr if he's back? I don't believe so, but for sake of conversation, let's say he is back for a senior season. Sophomore year, Jordan Scott. You got Caleb Glenn. Then power forward, Cam Ward is the only guy around. And then center, it's just Jesse McCulloch, pretty much. So, guys, that is, if Cohen Carr stays even, that's 9 guys on scholarship for 2026. And that is with Carlos Medlock's commitment also added in too. So there is a lot of scholarships to be handed out. I would love to say, this is for position they're absolutely going to try to go for, but they got to go for every position outside of point guard. They're pretty good there. But yeah, they need depth at 2 through 5. So there you have it, guys. Of course, I'm sure they're going to hit the portal again next offseason, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. All right, guys, it's going to be a full week of more MSU talk because, yeah, what else do we do here on Locked On Spartans? We do this 5 days a week. Now go ahead, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your week. Keep getting ready for kickoff, guys. Never too early to start hydrating. Hey, until then, until the next show, love you all. Go Green.